Spain is reportedly set to choose the Turkish fighter jet KAAN, and this has very important geopolitical implications. Let me explain. As you know, the relationship between Madrid and Washington is very tense at the moment. Actually, it has been for a long time. And this is greatly benefiting the industry of another country, the Turkish defense industry, which is bringing in several billion. During the Saha 2026 Defense Fair in Istanbul, Turkish aerospace industries confirmed the existence of initial contacts with Spain regarding the fifth-generation fighter jet KAAN. The CEO of TAI explained that the Spanish Air Force had shown interest in a fifth-generation fighter jet, but clarified that the program is still in its early stages. According to the Turkish executive, the talks are currently limited to a preliminary phase, and it is not yet possible to go into the details of any potential industrial or operational negotiations. But given previous events, there are good grounds to support the news of KAAN arriving in Spain. Let me give you some context regarding the Spanish fleet. The interest in new aircraft arises from an increasingly complex situation for the Spanish armed forces. In fact, the Spanish Air Force continues to use around 70 EF-18 Hornets, which were introduced between the late 1980s and early 1990s and have thousands of flight hours on them. For this reason, Madrid has already started the replacement program with a new order of Eurofighters. However, these aircraft would not be enough to cover all of Spain's future needs in aviation. You may know that Spain is part of the FCAS program with Germany and France for the future sixth-generation fighter, a competitor to the G-sub. But the ongoing delays and the possible cancellation of the program due to internal conflicts among the partners could see Madrid facing gaps in its fleet in the coming years. Furthermore, Spain's naval air component relies on short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft, a feature that today can only be found in Harriers and Airbuses. Furthermore, the F-35B represents a clear generational and qualitative leap. In the 2023 budget, the Spanish government allocated about 6.25 billion euros for the renewal of the air component. At that time, many observers interpreted the funding as a possible step toward the purchase of the F-35. Both in the F-35A variant for the Air Force and in the F-35B version intended for the Spanish fleet. As time went by, however, this option seems to have been postponed without a definite deadline. And as for the rest, the current geopolitical situation has brought us here, has made us think about it. However, be careful. Neither the Turkish KAAN nor programs like FCAS, GCAP or Eurofighter have a Stovel version ready for operational use. Turkey could partially solve this problem since its industry is offering drone solutions, like Baykar's TB3, capable of operating from the Spanish ship Juan Carlos. Unless Spain opts for the construction of a larger aircraft carrier equipped with catapults, which at the moment does not seem to be the case. The alliance with Turkey would mirror what we saw with the Urjet training aircraft. In 2025, Spain had approved a contract worth about 3.12 billion euros for 45 Turkish training jets as part of the Saeta II program. And it is in this context that the Turkish KAAN, a fifth-generation aircraft with low observability features, could offer several advantages for Madrid. Ankara claims that the aircraft will be able to enter service around 2029 and describes the program as the main national aeronautical project. Obviously, the dates should always be taken with a grain of salt. According to Turkish Aerospace, the fighter would be produced almost entirely in Turkey. And keep that almost in mind. It would also integrate capabilities considered close to the sixth generation. Among these is the ability to control unmanned drones, loyal wingman drones directly from the aircraft's cockpit. Drones like the Anka or the Kizil Elma. Keep the latter in mind because in the future in Italy, along with the TB3, you'll be hearing more and more about it, but we'll come back to this in a few weeks. The KAAN program has already secured its first international contract with the sale of 48 aircraft. The problem for Turkey, as for other countries and other platforms, is that the aircraft is not yet fully indigenous. This means that the current prototypes of the KAAN use American engines, specifically the General Electric F-110, which comes from the same family used on Turkish F-16s. However, Ankara aims to replace them with the new national TF-3500 engine, which is still under development. TF-3500, I don't know why I said 00, but anyway, the propulsion issue remains central from a political point of view as well. After Turkey was expelled from the F-35 program a few years ago, the United States continued to restrict certain authorizations related to the export of American engines. In simple terms, this means that until the TF-3500 becomes operational, any exports of the Turkish aircraft could therefore remain indirectly subject to authorizations from Washington. If you're wondering, this isn't the right episode, but to give you a quick outline of the aircraft, according to data released by TAI, the fighter should reach Mach 1.8, a speed higher than the Mach 1.6 declared for the F-35A. The twin-engine configuration is also intended to offer better survivability and more thrust. Maybe Donald Trump was so right when he went so far as to say that the F-35 should have two engines. I'm joking, of course. Turkish sources also mention a payload capacity of up to 10 tons, while the actual internal capacity in stealth, low observability configuration has not yet been made public. Here's a tip. If you want to learn more, check out the live stream on the Parabellum channel by my friend Leonardo Lanzara, or the in-depth article in the February issue of Read, page 64, by Sergio Coniglio. Since I'm not paid to give you this advice, but I really do it from the heart, if you want to support our work, please do so right now by sharing this video on your social media, leaving a like, and even considering a subscription. Most importantly, let me know at the end of the video with your comment what you think about this aircraft. Thank you very much. Getting back to the most talked about aircraft in Veneto, one of the key elements of the Turkish proposal concerns technology transfer. According to Fontitur, the KAAN could follow the same industrial model, allowing Spanish companies to participate in the integration of national systems such as avionics, software, and electronic warfare, just as we saw with the Urge. This is something that is hard to find in collaborations with companies from the United States. TAI claims that this approach would give Spain greater autonomy compared with the F-35. We know very well how depending on another country for your own security creates fears and uncertainties. If you share the same vision on foreign policy, it's absolutely not a problem, but opinions and intentions may diverge over time. The Turkish proposal therefore aims to offer Spain greater freedom, a degree of flexibility, and domestic know-how for locally developed systems. According to sources, Madrid could also obtain direct involvement in the customization of the avionics. After all, the development of the KAAN stems directly from the rift between Ankara and Washington over the F-35 program, so Turkey knows very well how important this aspect is. After Turkey was excluded from the US project, the Turkish government accelerated the development of its own national fighter jet. In recent years, Ankara has invested in industrial autonomy, local production, and the development of national components to reduce its dependence on foreign countries. Its company and drone industry are becoming a cornerstone in the Mediterranean and beyond. And on this, we must give credit where credit is due. Turkey is carving out a place in the defense industry, whether we like it or not, becoming increasingly central, and from that position it can influence its allies' political decisions. That said, that's all for today. I remind you that if you want to support the channel, leave a like, a comment, and you can find all the sources mentioned. You can look into them further in the first highlighted comment. Bye!